Monsters have always stalked the night. Since the world began, tales of terrible beasts in the dark have been told around the fires holding the shadows at bay. All these tales have the same message. We are not alone. From the trolls of Europe to the Bigfoot of California, the swamp ape of Florida to the yowie of Australia, all are Sasquatch. This is their story.
What is Sasquatch? The question that intrigues so many humans. So much so, a plethora of books, websites, TV shows, podcasts and YouTube channels are devoted to it. The theories are many, ranging from a descendant of Gigantopithecus to a portal-jumping alien hybrid, and everything in between. One popular theory is that Sasquatch is a result of a military experiment. It is a popular urban legend that in the past the scientists of some countries tried to create a super soldier by combining the genetics of man with apes. The idea was the ape's immense strength and agility could be supplemented with human intelligence and willingness to follow orders, not to mention they would not be considered human and therefore would have none of the rights thereof. The most famous or infamous of these experiments were carried out by Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov, a Russian scientist who had successfully started the world's first artificial insemination project for racehorses under the Tsar. His artificial insemination experiment successfully crossed many closely related species, donkeys and zebras, mice and rats and other rodents, birds and various species of cattle, creating specialized hybrid animals for agricultural and industrial purposes. In 1924, Dr. Ivanov approached the new Bolshevik government with a concept he had quietly speculated about for many years: the proving of Darwin's evolutionary theory via the crossbreeding of apes and humans. In support for Ivanov's grant proposal, the Commissariat of Agriculture said, quote, "The topic proposed by Professor Ivanov should become a decisive blow to the religious teachings and may be aptly used in our propaganda and in our struggle for the liberation of working people from the power of the Church." End quote. The theory contends that this anti-religion argument was superseded by the desire to create super soldiers that could then replace the hundreds of thousands of regular troops who had given their lives during World War I. Soldiers possessing superhuman strength and endurance, who would follow any order, eat anything, and ignore pain or injury. 2 years after he presented his ideas to the Russian government, Dr. Ivanov finally set sail for Africa. During his expedition, he managed to procure 20 apes of different varieties that he hoped to experiment with in his new laboratory in the subtropical Soviet Republic of Abkhazia. Reportedly, he managed to convince 5 Soviet women to volunteer their wombs for the experiments, but only a few apes survived the journey back from Africa. In fact, by the time Dr. Ivanov was ready to proceed with his experiments, only one ape was still alive: a 26-year-old orangutan called ironically Tarzan. Unfortunately, Tarzan also soon died from a brain hemorrhage. Eventually, he was able to acquire more apes that arrived in 1930, but the good Dr. Ivanov had by then fallen victim to a widespread purge of scientists and was exiled to Kazakhstan. He was released the next year but died soon after. It is speculated by proponents of the super soldier theory that the West, after hearing of Ivanov's radical ideas, began also attempting to breed ape men in order to not fall behind in the arms race. However, there is no trace of any such activities in the public record. While some scientists agree such a thing may be possible with today's technology using genes rather than artificial insemination, most believe it to be impossible. Of course, if such experiments were successfully carried out, we would never hear of it. The public outrage would be immense, and while there have been multiple reports of various types of secret weapons being used in theatres of war such as Iraq, to date nobody has reported any use of ape-man-like super soldiers. The theory that Sasquatch is an escaped result of such experimentation fails for two very simple reasons. One, Sasquatch has been reported in myth, legend and folklore for countless centuries. It is not a modern phenomenon. And two, the witness reports of these animals number in the tens of thousands. There are simply far too many to be the result of a few escaped military experiments.